I wasn't expecting this. Oh, how that swell is waiting to be heard. Decided to wear my Wicked sweatshirt today because I'm feeling Karen Carpenter RIP. She would have been into Wicked. Karen liked the Muppets. She loved Disney. What do you think? I don't think it's such a hot take.
Well,
but today's my first time reaction to the Carpenters' Close to You, a reaction to the album Close to You. I've actually heard the 2 singles before, but I've never done a reaction to Close to You, the song, and it's my first time hearing the whole album. But I wanted to do this because of this comment by @RicksMail. Love the dog, by the way. But they left this on my other Carpenters reaction video for a song for you. He said Close to You is a great example of Carpenter's harmonies, which I absolutely love. It has a Richard solo vocal track and some really great Karen drumming. But hi, my name is Io. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with other Carpenters fans. And let's get to reacting to Close to You, which sold 1 million albums.
Close to You album sold about 4 million copies.
Sorry, Richard, 4 million. We've only just begun. Oboe.
We've only just begun to live. White lace and promises, a kiss for luck and we're on our way.
We've only begun.
Before the rising sun, many roads to choose. We start out walking.
Look at those piano.
Just begun.
Horn stabs.
Watching the signs along the way. Talking it over, just the 2 of us.
Harmony suite.
Together day to day. Together. And when the evening comes, we'll find a place where there's room to grow.
Ooh, look at that organ.
Working together day to day. Together. Together. When the evening comes, we smile.
Nice.
So much of life ahead. And yes, we've just begun.
Orchestration. We Only Just Begun is just one of those songs that in retrospect, the lyrics are just so sad in retrospect because Karen Carpenter just really had only just begun to live. I've actually read the book, Little Girl Blue. God, I totally recommend it. And I'll be quoting that through a lot of this video. They interview a lot of her friends and she wanted all those things that a lot of women wanted, you know, children, family, husband. She never really ever got any of that. Not to mention all the music that they could have made together. But in terms of the music of the song, those first opening notes with the oboe, the Carpenters just own the oboe as a melodic instrument, don't they? So beautiful. I love these little breaks, those little breaks in Karen's otherwise smooth vocal.
Begun to live.
Oh, those breaks are killing me. It's just so emotional. And Richard's voice is just the perfect complement to Karen's voice. He never oversins. There's just something about family harmonies. Something in like the DNA of the voice. There's just like a particular blend that's just chef's kiss. Those beautiful piano chords that come in and just play very lightly an octave up.
Roads to choose.
Oh, and that really jazzy electric piano. Ooh, look at that organ. Oh, wow, that looks like that was played by Richard Carpenter. I was looking to see who played that, but it was by Richard Carpenter. He was going, oh, okay, Richard. It's so much different hearing it with headphones. Ugh. Oh, and that ending was so unresolved and sad. It's just perfect for this song.
In early 1970, advertising agent Hal Riney hired Beach Boys lyricist Tony Asher to write a jingle for the Crocker Bank of California. After Asher broke his arm in a skiing accident, he recommended Roger Nichols and Paul Williams for the job. It actually turned out to be something very different, Williams recalls. Almost all commercials up to that point had pitch. They had copy, like "Come to our bank" or whatever. For this one, they just wanted to show a little short movie of a young couple getting married and riding off into the sunset. They asked Roger and me to write a 1-minute song that would accompany that movie. With a budget of $300 and less than 2 weeks to write and record the song, Riney provided the songwriters with a bit of inspiration. His own slogan for the soft sell campaign, "You've got a long way to go. We'd like to help you get there. The Crocker Bank." Nichols and Williams were busy with other projects and put this one aside until just before the deadline. "I came in that morning and was working on the tune," Nichols says. "Paul came in a little after that, and within 10 minutes he had written the first verse. Williams grabbed an envelope and scribbled on the back, 'We've only just begun to live. White lace and promises. A kiss for luck, and we're on our way.'" Within a half hour, they had written 2 one-minute jingles. After the original commercials aired, Crocker Bank executives wished to give copies of the song to their employees and asked the songwriters to make it a complete song. "We finished the complete song as an afterthought," Williams says. "Grow" and "begun" don't rhyme like they should because that was actually the first verse of the second commercial. It was after a late-night recording session that Richard Carpenter caught the Crocker Bank commercial on television. Recognizing Paul Williams' lead vocal, he figured it had to be a Nichols-Williams tune. "We got 2 phone calls right away," Williams says. "The first was from Mark Lindsay and the second from Richard." Richard immediately went to the publishing offices on the A&M lot and picked up a reference disc of the demo. Playing it in their road manager's office, he was ecstatic to hear the bridge and third verse. He took the lead sheet to their next rehearsal where the group put together their arrangement. "It was about borrowing money, but for Pete's sake, it was a great thought," Karen remarked in a 1970 interview. "I compliment the bank for having that much awareness of what's going on. Something about 'Begun' stood up and proclaimed itself a hit song, whereas 'Close to You' seemed more of a risk."
Never would have a chance to be maybe it'd be an album cut someday. Then an angel sang and changed my life.
Talk about love, how
So
it
different.
makes life complete, make it sound good and sweet.
I knew there was going to be a tight stop.
You must surrender if you can.
So jazzy.
Shout about love and the wars will all end. You can shout, we're all brothers, and even pretend.
Ooh, Richard.
Love you are nothing at all.
Oh.
It's surrender.
Ooh, it's so jazzy. I don't know. Bossa Nova? I love that this song is such a contrast to We've Only Just Begun. So Love is Surrender started off as a Christian song, and it came from a Christian musical, and they actually had changed a lot of the lyrics so it could be more universal. But I love this drumming. This is a song that really shows off the drumming. I think this album, they actually split the drumming between Blaine and Karen Carpenter, but I believe this song was actually Karen. Just great drum work. This is really vaguely Latin sounding, almost bossa nova, sort of in there, somewhere in that vicinity. But I love Richard's plaintive vocal. His vocals are almost boyish on this album. Just another great compliment to Karen's vocal. I also really love this interesting chromatic melody. And who said huh? Huh? Was that Richard? Also, he was going off on the piano. Next we have Maybe It's You. It's like a lullaby.
Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's just the constant rhythm of the sea.
Karen.
Maybe it's just that I've never been the kind who can pass a lucky penny by.
Oh, I love that delivery.
Maybe it's you who brought the caring I forgot.
It's like a lullaby.
Rising on the shore, the ocean king, his only thought Couldn't we stay and watch the splashing rocks we throw?
Nice.
Only a fool.
Harpsichord?
Isn't it nice to talk about the special way that you smile whenever I'm around? Rising on the shore, the ocean king.
Oh, I love the way she doubles her voice.
His only thought is love for me. Couldn't we stay? Only a fool would want to leave the paradise that I find whenever you're around.
Ooh, and those harmonies.
Only a fool, only a fool.
Light horns. So much going on. Oh, I love how lullaby-like this song starts off. There's something about Karen's delivery of "Pass a Pretty Penny By." They just really knew how to bring out everything in Karen's voice. You know, you can hear her breathing, you can hear the mouth noises, and the plosives. Plosives are when you do pa or ka, or ta. So you can hear very lightly the plosives on "Pass a Pretty Penny By." It's just such an intense experience hearing it in my headphones, because it's almost like she's still alive. She's still, so close to you. No pun intended. Also, something should be said about the way Karen doubles her voice. That's a talent in and of itself. Also, Richard does a really good job of that as well on his vocals. We're only 3 songs in, and so much care went into making this album sound good as an album. First, there was that contrast between Love Is Surrender and We've Only Just Begun. And then Love Is Surrender has that light piano at the end that kind of flows into Maybe It's You. Beautiful. Baby It's You, not to be confused with Baby It's You, is the first song on this album to be written by Richard Carpenter and John Bettis.
A struggling political science student from San Pedro, who often slept on campus in his station wagon overnight, John Bettis had given up on his mother's dream for him to become an international attorney. Entering Cal State Long Beach, the long-haired folk singer was known for his sense of humor and creativity. He knew very little about music theory, but ended up joining Frank Pooler's college choir as an elective. Still, he had a remarkable talent for writing lyrics. John used to slip me little notes, Pooler recalls. They were little pieces of poetry, his observations of rehearsals, and observations he had about me. I thought they were really kind of beautiful and very unusual. Bettis began to compile his observations for what became a cappella music, a composition that, according to Pooler, was not even considered a song. It was a cantata, he exclaims. John was quite sure he would be kicked out of the choir once they heard the finished product, which introduced the various sections of the choir and proceeded to poke fun at each with a tongue-in-cheek approach. The choir listened as Bettis struggled to premiere a cappella music with only a sparse guitar accompaniment. "Buddy, you need a pianist," Richard blurted out before coming to Bettis's rescue. Pooler had a feeling the young men's talents might complement one another. I thought they were a perfect pair, so I said, "You guys should work together." Richard and John Bettis shared a love of music, cars, and girls, and became close friends. Agnes Carpenter was not as quick to welcome new faces into the Carpenter circle, especially someone with the gypsy existence of Bettis. She was infuriated to learn Richard was splitting performance fees equally with Bettis once they began playing various gigs together. She reminded Richard that he carried the musical load, and he was the only musically literate one of the two. In her opinion, Bettis did not do enough or have the experience to warrant half of the profits.
Okay, next we have Reason to Believe. So this was the first song that the Carpenters ever sang as the Carpenters. Like, how cool. Wait, what? Huh? Wait, hold up. Wait, hold on a second. I thought top of the morning to ya. I'm a feisty little leprechaun. No, Top of the World. I could have sworn the Top of the World was their first country song, no? Maybe I remember that wrong. But I could have sworn this has a very similar arrangement to Top of the World. I'm sorry, that just completely threw me off. Sorry. Let's just start again. Let's start again. Electric piano. Steel guitar.
If I listen long enough to you, knowing that you lied straight face while I cry.
Still tender vocal.
Someone like you makes it hard to live without. I'm thinking of
Very light drumming.
I'd find a way, I'd straight-faced while I cry.
Ooh, nice.
I look to find a reason to believe. Makes it easy to give, never thinking of mistake.
Ooh, nice strings. Oh, EQ'd very interesting too. I think that's a mixed thing.
I listened long enough to hear your light, straight face while I cry. A reason to believe, never thinking of mistake.
Ooh, key change. These endings are so great too. I'm still so fascinated that the Carpenters did country this early on. With that steel guitar and everything. All these songs are mixed really well, but this song is in particular just mixed to perfection. Everything is sitting just right. I love how light the drumming is here too. So next we're going to listen to Help. According to this was a song that they opened up a lot of their shows with, and they used it a lot to sort of hype up their audience.
When I was younger, so much younger than today. Now these days are gone, I'm not so self-assured. If you can, I'm feeling down.
Oh,
And I
nice!
do appreciate your feet back on the ground.
Hi-hat action.
And now
Harps
my
chord.
life changed in so many ways. My independence seems to vanish in the haze.
This phasing is giving so much
And every
atmosphere.
now and then I feel so insecure. Oh, I know that I just need you like I've never done before.
Yeah,
Help
Karen,
me if you can, I'm feeling down.
I'm right there with you.
And I do appreciate you being mine.
Yes!
Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please?
Incredible arrangement. Horns.
And I do appreciate you being mine. Please.
Ooh, organ solo. God, Karen's drumming is so good on this. Oh, she's feeling it. Another brilliant ending. Ow, you guys, what the heck? Wow, what in tarnation? How have I never heard this before? This was incredible. Incredible arrangement. This is not even one of my favorite Beatles songs. Hopefully nobody murders me, but I think I might even prefer this to the original. I love the phasiness they had in her vocals, although I do have to say that it kind of made her sound a little far away in the mix. But it did give the song a lot of atmosphere. Oh, and Karen's drumming here. Let me know in the comments if you know if this was Hal Blaine or Karen Carpenter, though. Either way, it was great drumming. Oh, and the harpsichord. I'm kind of a sucker for harpsichord. Yeah, it really highlights Richard's arrangement. This is another cool Richard Beatles arrangement, like Ticket to Ride. I love their version of Ticket to Ride. Just such creative arranging. One thing we have to talk about is the fidelity of the song. I think this is probably the first song that sounds like it was from another time. I feel like so many of these songs sound so timeless, like they could be recorded today. But this would be probably the first song I think sounds like it could have been made just from a fidelity standpoint in a different time. Although we are getting a lot of really nice tape distortion in a really beautiful way. It's just so pleasing, this old analog gear, to hear that tape distortion gently peaking every so often. How was this not a single? So this is a song I have heard before. This is Close to You, but I'm excited to hear it up close. Oh, famous chords.
Why do birds they long to be close to you? Every time you walk by, close to you.
Oh, it's so much more intense hearing it in headphones.
Sprinkled moon dust in your hair, and golden starlight in your eyes of blue.
Just like me, they long to be close to you. I forgot about the horns. So heavenly.
The angels got together, so they sprinkled moon dust in your hair. A golden star is why all the girls close to you, close to you.
Put everything in its place. So pleasing, that analog tape is. Oh, I don't remember this part. Is this like a coda? Wow, this is just such an intense experience hearing this like with headphones. Because this is another one where I can just really hear Karen breathing. I can hear she's just so close. The recording is just done so well that I can hear, like I said, her plosives. I can hear every little detail of her voice. It does just feel so much like she's still alive. It's such an intense experience. But this was in their book. They had this like track listing here. When they recorded this in A&M Studios, track 1, it says was where they had the lead vocal number 1. Lead vocal number 2 was on track 2. Not sure it was on track 3. It's hard to read. I think strings were on track 4, maybe flutes and harpsichord. No, harp. Flutes and harp and piano were on track 5. Looks like more strings on 6. Yeah. Oh, I just love this. Is this Richard's handwriting, I wonder? There's actually just so much. There's actually a lot going on in this song. So, of course, this song was written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. But I thought the story of how the Carpenters got the song was really interesting.
I get asked quite often who my biggest influences were. There were 4 B's chiefly involved, and that would be the Bee Gees, the Beach Boys, the Beatles, and Burt Bacharach.
The winding path to what ultimately became their second single began in December 1969, when the group played a benefit concert following the Hollywood premiere of the film Hello, Dolly. Opening the show with Burt Bacharach's I'll Never Fall in Love Again, the group was unaware the esteemed composer was in attendance. As Karen and Richard exited the stage, Bacharach was waiting with congratulations and an invitation for them to join him as his opening act for an upcoming Rice Davis Clinic benefit to be held at the Century Plaza Hotel on February 27, 1970. The invitation was extended to include various concert dates, at which time Bacharach requested that Richard select, arrange, and perform a medley of Bacharach-David songs. As the Carpenters rehearsed furiously on A&M's soundstage and the medley began to take shape, Herb Alpert came through with a lead sheet for a lesser-known Bacharach-David song entitled They Long to Be Close to You, first recorded by Richard, Dr. Kildare, Chamberlain in 1963. The song was also arranged by Bacharach for Make Way for Dionne Warwick the following year. Alpert had been given the tune several years earlier as a possible follow-up to This Guy's in Love with You, but disliked the Sprinkled Moon Dust lyric and set it aside. Richard considered Alpert to be a great A&R man, but felt the song would not fit in his plan for the medley. The lead sheet for They Long to Be Close to You remained on Richard's Wurlitzer for several weeks. Though it was not suited for the medley, Richard saw its potential as a standalone song, and with Alpert's urging, began to construct his own arrangement. Alpert owned a copy of Warwick's recording, but would not let Richard hear it. Aside from 2 piano quintuplets at the end of the bridge, he wanted nothing to influence Richard's concept. 3 very distinct arrangements of They Long to Be Close to You were put to tape, the first with Karen singing in a style similar to that of Harry Nilsson. The result sounded too contrived and was forcibly accenting the word you. For the second attempt, Alpert suggested Jack Doherty bring in pianist Larry Knechtel and drummer Hal Blaine. Knechtel's piano performance proved too forceful for the mood of the song. Richard returned to the keys for a third and final approach. Hold it, Richard, Blaine interjected during his first Carpenters session. Where are you going with this tempo? This stunned Richard, who was accustomed to calling all the shots in the studio. What do you mean? He asked. Well, are we going to play the beginning tempo or the middle tempo or the ending tempo? You're kind of running away with it after the intro. After several attempts with the same result, Jack Doherty cut in, asking, well, what do we do about this? Blaine suggested using a click track, which is essentially a metronome marking time in the musician's headphone mix. Like many artists, the Carpenters considered click tracks to be stifling, often resulting in robotic music. They finally gave in after Blaine explained it to be a reference tempo that need not be followed at every moment of a song. After that, Blaine says, they wanted all their songs done with click track. And as the recording began to take shape, excitement over the new creation spread throughout A&M. Breaking studio protocol, A&M staffers interrupted sessions and pushed open the doors to Studio C to ask, "What is that?" Thank God it didn't fit in the medley, Karen recalled of the song. That was an instant thing from the minute it hit tape. It was really wild.
Oh wow, here's the single art for the song. Oh, look at the Carpenters billboard for Close to You. I think this was when they first started becoming really big. Oh, look at this note, how cute. Close to You was their first #1 hit. This is from Herb Alpert. We're #1, whee! This is their... Next is Baby Is You.
It's not the way you smile that touches my heart, that tears me apart. I sit low at home, I cry over you.
Oh, Karen.
What can I do? Can't help myself.
Velvet.
They say you never
Never.
won.
No, Karen.
It doesn't matter what they say.
Nice.
When you're
That was unexpected.
away, when it's true.
Yes, Sax.
Many nights go by. I sit alone at home, I cry over you. What can I do?
This arrangement, just incredible. Nothing is ever too much. Everything is in the right place and just enough. Oh, stunning. According to this is another song by Burt Bacharach, but this is also written by Mac David and Barney Williams. But this was a Beatles song. I never knew that the Beatles did Burt Bacharach music before.
It's not the way you smile that touched my heart. Many nights go by. I sit alone, can't help myself. It's you.
Ooh, interesting. It was also done by the Shirelles, but the person who had the biggest hit with it was a band called Smith. I've never heard of them before.
It's not the way you smile that touch. Many nights go by. You don't want nobody. Baby, it's you.
Oh, wow, that was really different. Interesting. Wow, Gail McCormick? How I never heard of her before. I know I have some holes in my musical education, but she was beautiful. She had a lot of style. She had an incredible voice. I'm so surprised I've never heard of her. Let me know if you guys want to see me dig deeper into Gail McCormick's discography. I'll Never Fall in Love Again is next. Love these old school electric pianos. They make everything sound warm.
What do you get when you fall in love? A guy with a pin to burst your bubble.
Oh, I know this song.
That's what you get for all your trouble.
John Warwick, right?
I never fall in love again. When do you get when you kiss a guy? You get enough germs to catch pneumonia. After you do, he'll never
These lyrics are
fall in
hilarious.
love. Never fall in love again.
I never really listened to them before.
I'll never fall in love again. Don't tell me what it's all about.
Yes, Karen!
Those chains that bind you, that is why I'm here to remind. Never fall in love again.
Don't tell me what it's all about.
'Cause I've been there and I'm glad I'm out.
Oh, that piano again.
What do you get when you fall in love? For at least until tomorrow.
faithful version of that song.
I'll never fall in love again.
Okay, bass! That bass is cooking! Of course, I've heard this song before, the Dionne Warwick version. Yeah, it's pretty faithful, I would say. Maybe the reason why I've liked this the least on this album, but even a song that I've liked the least is still really great. Just shows you what a great album this is. But these lyrics are hilarious. I've never really listened to them before. What do you get when you kiss a guy? You get enough germs to catch pneumonia. After you do, he'll never phone you. I'll never fall in love again. Hal David knew it was up. Those lyrics are still timeless.
Ugh, I don't like boys.
Yes.
They're yucky and they get cooties on me.
Exactly. I don't have much to say about this, but we're getting a lot of great electric piano sounds on this album. I think that might be a Wurlitzer. I do really love the bass on this. So next we're going to listen to Crescent Moon. I like the title.
Green September,
It's so different.
burn to October brown. Dear November, frozen ground. The seasons stumble round, our drifting lives are bound to a falling crescent noon.
And very dramatic too. Haunting. Ooh. It's arrangement.
A veil of tears to morning breaks, and no one sees a quiet mountain.
It's so beautiful.
In a brand new day, the sun is on its way to a falling crescent noon.
I wasn't expecting this.
Somewhere
Oh, how that swell.
is waiting to be You and I were all our seasons, all our green September, sea of midnight blue.
I
and
love how the harmonies swell here.
Crescent noon.
Oh, beautiful. Whoa, I am like so shocked by this song. This might be one of my favorite album tracks on this album. It's so impassioned. I feel like if an indie artist released this today, no one would bat an eyelash, and I think it would be like even appreciated even more today for being unique and for its artistry. So different for them. Wow, I've never heard a Carpenter song like that ever. It has almost like a dirge feel to it, but then there's those parts that are just so haunting. Those strings that just add so much to Karen's voice. This is a song that was written by Richard Carpenter and John BETTIS, and they just did such a good job on this. It's so different in the way that like Road Ode from A Song for You, which is one of my favorite songs off A Song for You. I really feel like I want to do a whole playlist of songs that people wouldn't necessarily believe are the Carpenters. Let me know in the comments if you know any other songs like that. But oh my God, Karen's vocals are so incredible here. So impassioned. Her vocals just really take you on such a journey. There's so much variation. I could feel chills and I could feel like the tears welling up in my eyes. God, Karen has just so much versatility that people didn't really realize. There was also real drama. I think a lot of people put Karen in a box, but she's really good at these dramatic songs. And I love her low tones here. Yeah, there's not much online about the song, but I found this discussion I thought was kind of interesting. This person here was really surprised about that no one talks about it, because they felt it was a real incredible song. He also talks about her low notes, which I just absolutely loved. It does appear in a few people's top 15 lists, but not very many. But other people, like this person, thought it was a mediocre song and poorly recorded. That's interesting because I really loved the way it was recorded. A lot of people thought it was Crescent Moon. Actually, that's what I thought too. And this person said that there's a discussion that Someday is a prequel to Crescent Noon, which I haven't heard that song yet. Let me know if you've heard that song before and if you think that's true. Mr. Guder, which is another Richard Carpenter and John Bettis song that I've been really excited to hear. I heard the story in Little Girl Blue, and ever since I've been so excited to hear this one.
Through mutual friend Doug Strawn, Richard and John learned of an opening for a ragtime piano banjo act at Coke Corner on Disneyland's Main Street, USA. The two were hired for the summer season of 1967 and worked 18-hour shifts. The musicians' union salary of $180 per week was a fortune to two college students, but they wisely invested their earnings in musical instruments and sound equipment. Disneyland's entertainment supervisor, Vic Guder, made frequent stops throughout the park, walkie-talkie in hand, overseeing the park's wide range of talent. He made certain all acts were in proper costume and performing in accordance with the park's policies. Stopping by Coke Corner, Guder expected to hear turn-of-the-century ditties like A Bicycle Built for Two and Scott Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag and The Entertainer. Instead, he discovered the duo granting requests from thirsty patrons wanting to hear modern tunes like Light My Fire and Yesterday. After months of gentle redirection by Guder, their time with Disneyland came to an end. They had very strict regimens as to what one could and could not do in the park, Bettis recalled. Richard and I were fired for combing our hair in the park. Now I grant you, we did a lot of other things that did not please them before that time, but that actually caused us to be fired. According to Guder, the duo was never fired. The season merely came to an end. Heck no, they weren't fired, he says. Richard was hired for the summertime. He went back to school in the fall and didn't plan to work full-time. Coke Corner is a spot that is a part-time summer job. They'd come back when we'd use the Coke Corner pianist at night for private parties. It's not a full-time gig. Seeking musical revenge, so to speak, the two set out to write a song about the incident immediately upon termination. We got all the way to the bridge and didn't finish it because I wasn't at all sure that it was something that we ought to be doing, Bettis said. Richard really felt so strongly about it and liked the music well enough that he actually wrote the bridge to that lyrically and finished it. Like many of their early musical collaborations, Mr. Guder was set aside and would resurface several years later.
Triangle? Are we in 3/4? Okay, time signature changes.
Mr. Guder, say Mr. Guder, may I have a moment? Please don't let it scare you away. Everything a robot lives for. Clock in at 9 and roll out the door at 5.
It's like swinging feel.
You maintain their rules to live by. Shine your shoes, let's keep a neat haircut. Now that you're wearing the coat and tie. Mr. Guder, say Mr. Guder.
This is next level arranging.
You may realize where no one wins, but everyone stays the same.
Toms? I love a flute. Makes me feel like the Pied Piper.
You reflect the company image. You maintain their rules to live by. Shine your shoes, let's keep a neat haircut. Now that you're wearing a coat and tie. Mr. Guder, say, Mr. Guder, someday soon you may realize you've blown your life just playing a game. Say,
Like quartet style. It's very baroque.
Play your game.
Go on, flute. Oh, this is just next level arranging. Whoa! Richard Carpenter and John Bettis were really putting together some interesting songs. Wow. This arrangement is like next level. So many different feels in this song. We start off with that little triangle. And then that beginning where you have those little time signature changes. At first I thought it was in 3/4, but and then you have that kind of swinging march where she sings, Mr. Guder, oh, Mr. Guder. Then it goes into that really more traditionally swinging feel. So good. There's that real part that has that real intensity. And then that part at the end that has that that's a little bit more like Baroque. It's like a barbershop quartet doing Baroque. I just love how they were mixing different genres. I thought this was pretty early for that. It kind of reminds me somewhat of Judy Sill's work. And I thought she was a little early for that, for mixing genres like that. She mixed a lot of like Baroque classical music with like country. This is like Baroque mixed with jazz, mixed with, I don't know. It's just really interesting. So here's the story of Mr. Guder.
As the Close to You album gained momentum, and the group's popularity grew, word of the song Mr. Guder, written some 3 years earlier about the Disneyland supervisor of the same name, reached the ears of its inspiration. Victor Guder returned from a hiking trip in the High Sierra to stacks of mail. Picking up a copy of a trade paper, he read a review of Close to You that mentioned Mr. Guder by name. He immediately called his secretary and asked, "Do you guys know anything about this?" "No, we were waiting for you to read it," she said. "Well, I'd like to hear the record." Obtaining a copy of the LP, Guder shut the door to his office and placed the needle to the vinyl. Mr. Guder, say Mr. Guder, someday soon you may realize you've blown your life just playing a game where no one wins but everyone stays the same. We were kind of shocked at first, Guder says, but that's just part of the game we play. When you're working for Disney or working for a public company, you're vulnerable to all that stuff. But it didn't faze us as a negative at all. It was done when everybody was kind of anti-establishment, and it was a gimmick they used. They were reflecting the Disney image, coat and tie, shine your shoes. That's what Disney stands for. It was very cleverly written. Richard later admitted Mr. Guder was written out of anger. Looking back, it's a bit harsh, really, he explained. We were a little rebellious, and we were finally fired. We wrote this song, but now that the years have gone by, and I'm looking back at this, it really wasn't a very nice thing to do, because the man was just doing his job. Mr. Guder, party of two, a waitress in a Newport Beach restaurant called as Victor Guder and his wife awaited seating. As if on cue, the house band began playing the tune. We sat there and enjoyed it very much, Guder recalls, and then had our dinner.
Okay, next is I Kept On Loving You.
Oh. Ooh, acoustic?
I ran away from you, think I'm
Is this a Richard song?
But I changed my way. Don't worry, baby,
Ooh,
please don't
I like the
cry.
feel.
I will never leave you.
I love all this flute. You know how I feel about a flute.
I had to try it, though I love you, girl. Baby, please don't cry. I'm home for good, and I will never leave you. Never leave you. You must believe me, and I will
No, that was way too short. I like that one. I guess this was a song that At Rick's Mail had written about. He says, when a drum part that introduces the second verse is played, I wondered if it was Karen. Let's listen to that little drum part again.
never leave you.
Oh yeah, that is a really cool drum part. Yeah, it's hard to know like who did what. It doesn't really specify like what songs Karen played drums and what songs that Hal Blaine played drums on the song.
Alpert felt Karen's drumming lacked the muscle of competitive top 40 records and knew Blaine would add the desired power for this recording. Agnes Carpenter did not agree. Karen, barely 20, and Richard, soon to be 24, still lived under her roof, where she kept close tabs on all their activities, both personal and professional. When she got word that Karen had been replaced by Blaine, she let him know of her displeasure. I've seen so many drummers on television, Agnes told him, and Karen's as good as any of them. Karen is a wonderful drummer, he explained. The problem is she doesn't have the studio experience that some of us have. This did little to appease Agnes, who was quick to praise her daughter when put on the defensive, but Blaine was not concerned with the parents. He was confident knowing Karen was happy having him in the studio, and that was all that mattered to him. She had a lot of respect for me, Blaine says. We had an instant professional love affair because she knew everything I'd done, and she loved what I was doing on their records.
It was really fun listening to Karen back up Richard. Karen just always gives her all no matter what. But Richard is such an underrated vocalist. I don't feel like enough people talk about Richard as a vocalist, because I loved all his vocals on this record.
There was talk of releasing I Kept On Loving You, a recording with Richard's lead vocal as the A-side. Sharing both recordings with Frank Pooler's choir, Karen and Richard conducted an informal poll of their college friends. They played both sides of it for them to see which one they liked best, Pooler says. While I Kept On Loving You was radio-friendly and consistent with other hit songs of the day, Close to You refused to conform to top 40 trends. As a result, Pooler explains the choir applauded more for Kept On Loving You. Nichols-Williams compositions like I Kept On Loving You were frequently appearing as album cuts and B-sides around this time, but the songwriting duo had been hopeful to get an A-side with the second Carpenters single. It was almost a joke that we'd die in anonymity and never having a hit single, Williams says. All I wanted was for I Kept On Loving You to be the single until I heard Close to You. They put ours on the B-side, and it was one of the greatest free rides of all time. They were both really fine records, but Close to You just proved to be magical.
So the last song on the album is Another Song.
Ooh, arpeggios.
The moon that rose now descended, and soon the day would come. And when the day had come,
Wow.
the light that fell at dawn was gold. The wind sang of you. Then you said,
So I wasn't expecting key changes or chord changes. I really like this melody. Exoticism. It was like Carpenters as a jam band? Another great electric piano sound. Got some great percussion. Yeah! Stirring my cauldron. Wow, what?
Whoa, that was the perfect song to end with. Such an interesting outro, right? Carpenters as a jam band? Wow. Didn't see that one coming. And I'm just so impressed with Richard Carpenter and John Bettis's writing on this. Pretty much a lot of my favorite songs were written by them. This is probably my least favorite of those songs, but I still really liked it a lot. But I'm just so surprised. It's so different. The writing was just so different in these early days. But it makes me really curious about the previous album, their debut. Pretty much every song on that album was written by Richard and John. So I'm super curious about that. Let me know if you guys want to hear me do that album. But like I said, this was a perfect song to end with. And just so much care went into making this a complete album. And now that I'm actually looking on here, Apple does name this as an essential album. Oh God, I truly think that more people need to reevaluate this album and A Song for You, so people don't just think that the Carpenters were just singles artists. Anyway, I had the best time on this video. I love this album way more than I thought. Don't forget sharing with any Carpenters fan that you happen to know. That's what will help my channel out the most. Anyway, if you have time to see another video, there'll be one right here. Or you can check out my Carpenters playlist down here, or you can also subscribe to me if you feel so inclined right there. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope I get to see you next time. Popcorn Philosopher over and out.